but it wouldn't come, and he prayed for a breath, just a breath that could go all the way into his lungs, and for the room to stop spinning, and for something to stop the nausea. And then he stopped praying as he felt her pulling him up. He fell forward again, this time into a deep hole where it was dark, and he couldn't find the end, and there was nothing to reach out for that would stop his fall, and he didn't know where the darkness would take him. Mark Branning's fire truck was the first one on the scene. Though Celia's panicked call had been for a rescue unit, all of the emergency services of Newpointe responded to the call. That was policy. So even when there wasn't a fire, the fire truck headed out. Because they'd been 2 blocks over at a call for Mrs. Higgins, a lonely old lady who managed to set a grease fire at least once a month, they'd arrived at Stan's house before anyone else. As he ran up Stan's driveway and banged on the locked door, Mark wondered what could have happened to the town's only detective to make his wife call with such urgency. Stan was in perfect health, or so it seemed. He wasn't much over 30, and he lacked the spare tire that seemed to be a byproduct of a happy marriage. Wasn't Stan too young for a heart attack? He could hear Celia inside screaming, and he glanced back at the fireman behind him, George Brassard, his shift captain, and Dan Nichols, his best friend. George jabbed the doorbell and shouted, "Celia, open up! Fire department!" In seconds, she was flinging the door open, and she fell into Mark's arms. "Mark, help him! He's dying! Hurry, please, hurry!" They bolted in as the sirens of the rescue unit and police squad cars grew closer. "Celia, what happened?" "I don't know." She was sobbing too hard to get the words out clearly. "Do CPR, Mark. George, do something. Somebody has to help him." They got to the bedroom and saw Stan lying on the floor on his back. George and Dan stooped beside him, but Mark stayed with Celia, knowing either of them could administer CPR if it was needed. "Celia, tell us what happened so we can help him." She nodded. "I woke up, and he was sick, and I tried to get him to the bathroom, but he was too weak and he just passed out." The paramedics raced in with a gurney, and Issy Matreau dropped to Stan's side and began checking his vital signs. "What symptoms was he having before he passed out, Celia?" she asked as Steve Winder, her partner, began recording Stan's vitals. "He mentioned stomach cramps, and he was breathing real fast, and he was dizzy. He thought it was something he ate." "How long since he ate?" What time is it?" 12:30. 6 hours, then. Nothing since dinner, but we ate the same things. But he didn't eat much because he wasn't feeling very well before dinner. Said his stomach had been upset all afternoon. Please, can't you help him breathe?" Sid Ford, dressed in his police uniform, came running in and stopped cold when he saw his friend lying unconscious on the floor. 2 other cops, R.J. Albright and Chad Avery, filed in, and Mark wondered how long it would be before every cop in town was here, even the off-duty ones. The emergency personnel in Newpointe were a close-knit group, and they all worried when one of their own was in trouble. "What's going on?" Sid demanded loudly, as if Stan's collapse had offended him personally. "Sid," Issy barked out quickly, "go get samples of whatever you can find that he may have eaten tonight. Celia, is he on any medication?" "No, none." "Any allergies?" "No." "Has he been drinking tonight? Wine, beer, anything?" "No, he doesn't drink." "The truth, Celia," Issy demanded. "I know some of these guys are your church friends, but it won't leave this room. We have to know what he ingested." "I am telling the truth. Stan doesn't drink." "Has he vomited at all?" "Yes, several times." "Chad, go get some samples from the bathroom." Chad hesitated. "Samples of what?" "Anything you can find," she said. "I'll get graphic if you want. We need something we can examine for whatever's made him sick. Hurry!" Chad dashed into the bathroom. Mark set his arm around Celia's shoulder, offering her feeble reassurance.